Okay, 1.3 algebraic expressions and 1.4 solving equations. Verbal expressions can be translated into algebraic or mathematical expressions using the language of algebra. Any letter can be used as a variable to represent a number that is not known. And then down here, we have a whole bunch of words for our different mathematical operations. So for addition, we can say plus, sum, more than, increased by, in all. For subtraction, we can say minus, difference, less than, subtract, decreased by, and less. Multiplication, we use the words times, product, multiplied, each, of, factors. And division, we use the words divided, quotient, per, rate, and ratio. So let's write an algebraic expression to represent the verbal expression. The key word here is less than. That means it's going to be subtraction. So 7 less than a number is x minus 7. 3 times the square of a number. The cube means power of 3, of a number increased by, that means plus, 4 times the same number. So it doesn't matter what letter you use as long as it's the same number. So I have x cubed plus 4x. And then we have twice the sum of. Now, in this case, when you're saying twice the sum of, that means we've got some parentheses going on. Twice the sum of x plus 5. Then we have the sum of the product of a number, x, and 9. So we're summing the product of x and 9 and 5. So the product of x and 9 is 9x and 5, and we're summing it. So to evaluate an algebraic expression, substitute a number for each variable in the expression, then simplify using the order of operations. So here we have 7 times the sum of a plus 4 plus 3b minus 8, for a is negative 4 and b is 5. So we're going to put that negative 4 in for a and 5 in for b. That's the first thing we're going to do. Next, we're going to use some PEMDAS. So we do the parentheses first, then we multiply, and we get 0 plus 15 minus 8. We add and subtract, and we get 7. That's our answer. So a term is an expression that is a number, a variable, or the product of a number and one or more variables. For example, we have 7x plus negative 9y minus 3, or 7x minus 9y minus 3. So the 7x is one term, negative 9y is a term, and negative 3. Just take the sign that comes before the number. Okay, coefficient is just the number part of a term. A constant term is the term with no variables, so the negative 3. And like terms are terms that have the same variable factors raised to the same powers. So same variable factors means same letters to the same exponents. An algebraic expression is simplified when parentheses have been removed and like terms have been combined. So let's use the distributive property to remove some parentheses. So we got this expression, 6 times the sum of 2x squared plus 4x, plus 10 times the sum of 4x squared plus 3x. So first we're going to use the distributive property. And we say 6 times 2x squared is 12x squared, 24x, 40x squared, plus 30x. We combine our like terms, so we have 2x squared. That makes 52x squared. And 2x's which will give us 54x's. Now these are not like terms, so we can't combine them. They're both x's, but they're not the same exponents. Okay, the addition property of equality means that if you add the same number to each side of the equation, the two sides remain equal. So we add 2 to both sides, and we get x equals 7. X equals 7 is equal to x minus 2 equals 5. The subtraction property of equality says you have to subtract from both sides to keep it equal. The division property of equality, we divide both sides by the same thing and it stays equal. And then the multiplication property of equality. This is the same thing. You just multiply each side. In this case, we multiply each side by 6. We get x equals 42. This one's a little tricky, mostly because people don't like fractions. If you're multiplying a fraction by a variable to make it go away, you multiply both sides by the reciprocal. You flip it. So we have negative 5/3 times both sides. We end up with x equals negative 30. Basically, what all of these properties are saying is what you do to one side, you have to do to the other to keep it equal. Okay, solving multi-step equations. The first thing you're going to want to do is use the distributive property to remove the parentheses. Then you're going to add or subtract for equations so that all variable terms are on one side of the equation and all numerical terms are on the other side. And then we'll use the multiplication or division property for equations. So we'll multiply each side or we'll divide each side. So let's do one of these. We have 2 times the sum of 2x plus 3 minus 3 times the sum of 4x minus 5 equals 22. So the first thing we do is we do that distributing property. So we're timesing both of these by 2 and both of these by negative 3 because that negative goes with the 3. So we get 4x plus 6 minus 12x plus 15 equals 22. Now we have some like terms. So we're going to combine those like terms. When they're on the same side of the equals, you can just add or subtract them together. You don't change the sign. We only change the sign when we're moving to the other side of the equal sign. So we have 4x minus 12x and 6 plus 15. We end up with negative 8x plus 21 equals 22. Then we need to get rid of that 21, so we subtract 21 on both sides. We get negative 8x equals 1. Now we're going to divide by negative 8 on both sides. And we get x equals negative 1/8. That's your answer. How about another one? Now we don't have to worry about distributing, but we have x's on both sides of the equation. So we have 3x minus 2 equals 4x plus 5. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of the x's on one side of the equation. So I subtracted the 4x. And you can start with the numbers. That's totally fine. As a force of habit, I start with the x's usually. So 3x minus 4x is negative x. 4x minus 4x is 0, so it comes off that side. Next, we're going to move this numerical term over to the other side of the equation. There we go. We get negative x equals 7, but that's not, we have to get the x all by itself. So then you can either multiply by negative 1 or divide by negative 1, and you'll get x equals negative 7. Okay, so you can use the properties of equality to solve an equation or formula for a specified variable. Here we have s equals pi r L plus pi r squared 4L. What that means is we're looking to get L all by itself. There's L. So the first thing you want to do is you want to say which term or terms does not include the variable we want, because we're going to get rid of those. Well, this one, pi r squared, does not have an L in it. And this is adding, so we're going to subtract it. Now, it's important to know you cannot combine s and pi r squared. They're not like terms. So you just leave them there. S minus pi r squared. And then we have our pi r l left on this side. So where's L? There's L. Okay? So you say, I need to get L by itself, so I have to remove the pi r. Pi r is multiplying by L, so to undo multiplying, you have to divide. So we're dividing both sides by that pi r l. Once again, we cannot combine pi r with s or pi r squared because that's squared, this is not. So we're just going to draw a line and leave that under. So we get s minus pi r squared divided by pi r, this is extra, don't pay attention to it, equals L. All right, have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you in class to do the homework.